Hey guys, in today's video, I'm going to teach you how you can build this AI agent right here, which is basically your personal cold direct messaging and copywriting AI agent. So for example, if you're selling any kind of automation or AI services, at some point you would need to reach out to your prospects to offer those services, okay? And that can be daring and kind of hard and get the right copy to send it off without sounding too robotic or cliche. So this AI agent will do exactly that, okay? And once you are done with the request, it will even send you this nicely formatted email to your Gmail. So you can essentially just copy paste and bring it to maybe LinkedIn or maybe just forward it. Obviously don't forward the entire thing, but again, at least you have the foundation for it. And again, today's video is not really focusing on, super fancy lead gen flows, really a beginner ready and friendly agent that you can learn how to build. And again, you can grow from here, okay? So let me give you a quick demo how it works. So I'm just gonna copy paste some information. So we are reaching out to John, who owns Acme Inc., focused in IT, but let me just fix that, but uses outdated infrastructure, okay? Because it's very common. A lot of IT services actually are outdated. They use a lot of manual stuff, manual work, and does lots of manual work, okay? So let's shoot out to a agent. And now it's gonna do its thing. For agent, I'm actually using Claude because Claude is much better at copywriting and at content style in general, where ChatGPT can sound too cliche and too, I don't want to say robotic. It's just very easy to spot that it was written by AI. So I do prefer Claude for that. It's a little bit better when it comes to copywriting, okay? So you can kind of see even right here as an output, we have a pretty nice response for agent. First of all, it gives us the DM itself. It gives a analysis breakdown, explains to you why this is a good direct message to send, right? So it explains you the hook, it explains you the business problem, it explains you the solution, and also explains you the CTA, why it shows CTA, okay? It's really cool. And then it's gonna ask you for your approval. And if we say approved, it's basically gonna send it off to our Gmail, and then it's gonna log it into a spreadsheet right here, okay? So again, a lot of use cases here. I'm using it as a simple chat trigger workflow, but you can, for example, add a Typeform. Typeform has a official integration. So what's gonna happen here, for example, if you have a Typeform landing page and your prospect or lead goes on a Typeform, fills in the information, and you can send it off to a similar agent like here with all the information, right? Then it's going to process that information. It's going to analyze the business problem based on the provided information. Because what we have here a web scraper, which is attached directly to agent. So it can basically go on a web and research about the company, about the person, and really get the basics of that person's company, or just the background of a company, which makes your job much easier when you're going to be reaching out to the prospect, because it basically cuts down the work that you have to do manually, okay? So let's take a look. This was done. So if I go to my Gmail, let me just refresh here. So this is the email. Again, here the target is John, company is Acme Inc., IT sector. And here is the message. Hey, John, I noticed Acme Inc. is managing IT infrastructure that's likely creating more headaches than solutions, okay? So there's a big difference between Claude and ChatGPT. ChatGPT would be way more cliche, right? So we see many IT companies burning 15 to 20 hours weekly. So we are offering solutions, not talking about workflows and the futures, which is a big no-no when you're trying to pitch your services, right? And then we say how we help and how we're going to do that. And here we're giving some KPIs, which is important. We need to tell what's the problem, how we're going to solve that, and what's the potential output. So 70% of repetitive work without typical migration nightmare, which is the case for IT companies, guys. So not just the workflow itself is really beginner friendly and easy to learn as a beginner. Also, I'm including this really nice prompt, which will help you get a pretty decent copy out of the AI agent without sounding like everybody else, guys, okay? So that's essentially what it does, and you will be able to get this workflow for free. So link will be for the template available just below the video in the description box, or if you don't see, just leave a comment and I'll drop the link. So yeah, guys, let's now kind of go through each a note and let me teach you how you can do it yourself if you want to build something like this. And if you are at any point confused or any questions, just leave a comment below the video and tell me, what's the problem or if you're facing any issues, and I'm gonna help you out. Don't worry about it. And if not, I am also leaving this beginner-friendly sticky note right here, so you can kind of learn how the workflow works, like what it does, right? What kind of tools are connected, what kind of a tech stack it's using, right? And also I'm including a link for the spreadsheet right here, guys. So if you click on this hyperlink, it's gonna bring you to the spreadsheet where we are logging all of our basically AI responses, okay, guys? So everything is pretty much ready to go for you guys with not too much hassle. So now let's go and actually learn how this entire thing works, guys, so I can teach you each node by node. All right, so we're gonna start with the chat trigger. Chat trigger is actually very basic. It's a baby node, I would say, in a sense, right? So all it really does, it just accepts the input from the user right here. So if I open this up, so this essentially the data. For example, I can just type anything, and once I hit send, this data will be sent basically to chat trigger, which is gonna trigger the workflow, and it's gonna be sent to a agent, okay? So again, nothing really crazy. The chat is hosted. You can also embed that, okay? Basically, you can copy this and bring it to maybe your website or pretty much anywhere where you want to actually embed it. So it's going to be sort of like a AI chatbot experience, right? But since we are in n8n, we want to chat with the agent directly. We're going to use a hosted chat, okay? And that will give us an option to chat with the agent directly, okay? There's also options to connect it directly to your Telegram. So if you want to be on the go and kind of communicate with the agent, we can connect it to Telegram. So you can do all this workflow for your phone. And if you want to know exactly how to do that, make sure to check out my YouTube channel. I have quite a few videos on how to create Telegram AI agents. But again, if you have questions, which video exactly, leave a comment and I'm going to share the link with you, okay? All right, so next up, we are sending all of this data to AI agent. Okay, so if I open up my agent right here, you might ask me, so how is the agent receiving this data? Okay, so in n8n, we are using something called expression right here. So this is called an expression. So everything that goes into a double braces, like curly braces like this, and then we do $JSON. Okay, so that's going to be a expression, but at its core and at its foundation, it's basically a JavaScript. So everything that goes into curly double braces like this in n8n is essentially JavaScript, okay? So if you know JavaScript, then it's your lucky day, because it's going to be so easy for you to understand how expressions work, because essentially these are, you can think of them as variables in a sense, right? So that's how we are pulling the data from the previous nodes to communicate throughout n8n workflow. We are using expressions, okay? And how are we calling the data from the previous node, for example, from the chat node, right? So what we're gonna do, let me just delete this entire thing so I can kind of show you. So if I do $, okay, I do $JSON that chat input, okay, you're gonna see it's gonna actually pre-fill or basically suggest a, the expression. So this is chat input. So if I basically choose it here, what's gonna happen? Right now it's undefined, right? But let me just save that. And if I say something like hi, okay, let's wait for an agent to respond to us. So if I go back here, let me just reopen this. Let me see why we are receiving undefined, because that shouldn't be the problem. So let's troubleshoot this a little bit. Okay, so chat input is high, so I see it here. So it must be a glitch. Did I make a typo maybe? I might have made a typo. Okay, yeah, see, I made a typo, that's why. So let's just do like this. We can drag it like this also. Let's just put it in here. Cool, so now it works. I just made a typo. So there's two ways you can work with expressions. Either you can type them manually. So again, if you delete everything here and you type and you start typing chat input, you will have that as an option here. You guys can see here's the input or the user, basically what I typed into the chat input. Other manual way, which I don't suggest, because once your workflow gets busy, it's going to be hard to type everything manually. You can also drag the expressions from the JSON box right here. Okay, so if I take it right like this and drag it here, it's essentially the same thing. So it's really a preference. If you want to do it manually, you can do it. But the easiest and the fastest and most efficient way you just take it and drag it and you are good to go. All right, so that's for the expressions. Then we're defining the AI agent behavior. Again, here we're just saying you are an expert in cold outreach, copywriting, and sales strategies. Then we are using a markdown format because that's the most, I would say, LLM or AI model friendly format. Okay, so workflow. Here we're defining the workflow, basically gather information, a target name, company, because we will need to log this into a spreadsheet. So we need to make sure that we, first of all, getting this data from the AI agent, okay? Then we're saying which tools it has access to, really important. Otherwise, it might not use it properly, or it just will ignore it. So we're defining there's a Tavily web scraper. And then we're saying basically how the format should go. Okay? So create a tailored 2 to 4 sentences with a direct message, and then a personalized hook, clear business problem they might face, offer and simple CTA, and then present DM and ask for a approval. And right here, I'm basically saying that I'm expecting a output in the structure. Okay, the reason for this is because AI will basically autonomously output the responses. You guys see right here. Okay, so if I'm not going to define these outputs, this might come out blank. Okay, because AI will not really know exactly what to do and in which format to log the information if you're attaching tools. So if you're attaching tools, you need to describe what the tools are for and in what format the AI agent or AI model should be outputting that data. Okay, so that's why we are defining it here. So we need action, target name, company name, industry, DM message, and user email. Because first of all, we're going to be using that in our spreadsheet. You guys can see target name, DM message, and also in email. If I go to n8n and I open my Gmail node, you guys can see I have 2, which is my email subject. Okay, and then we are using a couple expressions also here. This is basically from the AI model. So DM message, you guys can see here DM message. The same thing here, DM message. So if we don't define these ones, it will basically give you a blank data because you haven't defined that in the AI agents. I would say you haven't explained to agent what it's supposed to do and in what format it's supposed to do that, okay? So that's why it's important to really explain in details exactly what each tool does and in which format you want the final output to be in. And when you're working with agents, you might see something like this from AI. So basically, this is a $sign from AI, meaning that we are using the output or the data from AI model instead of the JSON, okay? Because if you do something like JSON, for example, let me just do double braces here, JSON, okay? So this is not working with the AI because AI is not outputting directly a JSON in a sense. It's outputting everything using its own expression $sign from AI, okay? So that's why you might see something like this. But again, even if I delete right here the to field, okay, to who we're sending the email to, what it's gonna do, what we can do also, we can use this right here. If we press on this one here, which basically let the model define this parameter, basically we will let the AI model to completely autonomously improvise in a sense what should be inputted in here, okay? It might not be the best option. It could work, but if you don't provide, for example, if you don't provide a bit of guidance, it won't know to who to send the email to, okay? Because here we are using from AI, okay? So we are still letting the AI to do its thing, but we also are defining here in the expression email address to send the copy to, okay? And how AI will know what does that mean? It's gonna know that because we are defining that in the output definition here. You guys can see here, user email, this is my email. So that's how AI agent understands the connection between the what it's supposed to do and also what does the email address to send to means in this expression, okay? So I wouldn't say leave everything to AI because it will just simply won't send the email because it won't really be able to make that connection, right? So again, just help your AI model a little bit to understand what it's supposed to do with each of these fields, all right? And the same thing and approach goes here. We're still using from AI. Email subject, and here we're saying email subject line, okay? So again, if we go back to an agent, It's going to be the same thing in the definition here. We're going to basically see it right here. So email subject, and that's exactly how it makes that connection, okay? And then again, a couple more things, like important things that we want to make sure that AI model or AI agent follows through. Okay, during conversation, respond normally, just really so it doesn't, have too much conversational level with you directly. All you want to do, you just want to create direct messaging based on the provided data. Then basically we're explaining we need to execute the tools. After tool execute, the system will confirm success. Okay, so really just a bit of babysitting to make sure that everything goes smoothly. And then we're guiding AI agent for the styling. All right, so this is kind of an important part, I would say, because if we take this out, it's going to give you a very generic response, right? Because here we are framing the outreach around solving the pain point problems, which is important, okay? If you do that, it's just going to basically tell you how automation can, solve this by using these features, and how cool is that? So that's not something you want. So we are making sure we're solving the prospect's pain points, not trying to sell futures, okay? And then we're explaining, the most industry teams struggle with X, okay? And we can help you with that. So we're defining the structure of the copy, which is really, I would say, the pinnacle of this entire prompt right here. And then we're feeding the user input, or whatever you input in the chatbot chat input here. And we are basically feeding that also to the agent, right? So that's basically how a agent works. Then we're using something called window buffer. Think of it as a memory, okay? So sort of like a short-term database. So if you chat with the agent, it will be able to look back to 10 previous chat conversations in the same session though. If you refresh the page, the session will be reset to a new session. So as long as you don't refresh the page, an agent will be able to look back to 10 previous conversations you had with the agent in the same session here, all right? And then we're using a web scraper Tavily, nothing crazy here. Again, we are letting AI to do the query, okay, search query to find information about the person or company. All right, so Tavily is really easy to set it up. All you need to do, just gonna go here to Tavily, click here, create new credential, and all you need to do really just provide API key. And to do that, you're gonna go to tavily.com. You're gonna log in with your account. And once you're here, basically just copy this API key right here. Just click on copy, bring it to a n8n, copy paste that API key, click save, and you're good to go. And the cool part about Tavily, it's actually free. You get 1,000 credits monthly, which is quite a lot. Like this will be more than enough to actually use it quite often if you are somebody who is just beginner in n8n, and this renews on a monthly basis. So Tavily is really, really amazing because it's a very generous free tier and really easy to set it up, okay? So for Google Sheets, nothing crazy. It's really easy to authenticate. All we need to do is just click here, create your credential, and basically send in with your Gmail, and that's really all there is to it. And it's going to be authenticated, and you can use in n8n. And the same thing for a Gmail. Simply just sign in with your Gmail, and Gmail will be working in your n8n. And that's about it, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you found it useful, especially if you're a beginner. If you have any questions, don't be shy, leave a comment below and I'm gonna help you out. If not, guys, make sure to download the template. It's 100% free. You can use it in any way that you want. And if you need help with adjusting this template, again, leave a comment and I'm gonna help you out. If not, as always, I'm gonna wish you happy building. Make sure to like and subscribe so I can keep making these videos for you guys. And I'm gonna see you next time.